So today I have Bandai SH Figuarts Stormtrooper, and this is from A New Hope. So these are the original Stormtroopers from the film from the 1970s. Um, so I used to own a ton of Star Wars figures that I got back when I was a child in the 1970s. And I recently, this year and last year, sold most of them. And I can tell you that you might be surprised at how little I got for them. They were definitely played with. Some of them came with guns, but I was selling most of them in the $10 range and some below. I sold them on eBay, but that was pretty much the price for them. One of the things that surprised me was that I was selling my original G.I. Joes at the same time. And the G.I. Joes were going for quite a bit more. The G.I. Joes were about exactly the same height, but they had much better articulation. So, yeah, it's really surprising that these here's a original Star Wars figure that didn't sell. This is Greedo, and he is listed for probably like $6-7. But yeah, it's a bit surprising. You can see the size comparison, and there really is no comparison. So you're talking about what is that, 3 1/4, 3 1/2 versus about 6 inch, and so the original one had 5 points of articulation. This one has all sorts of articulation all over the place, and a lot of detailing. I had Stormtroopers. I think I may still have one, but I sold the other. And again, there is just no comparison. A lot of the paint on the original figure had worn away. I suspect that this paint on here wouldn't wear away, or would wear away a lot less if I played with the figure. And I don't play with my figures. I put them on a shelf. So they generally look pristine. I think that if you did not have context with a hand or a shelf or something, you'd be hard pressed to tell whether this was a figure or the actual thing. And I think that the Stormtroopers, the outfits really lend themselves to all plastic figures, because it really looks real. It looks amazingly real. And again, if you don't have context, something around it, you might think that this was a full-size human in a costume, because it looks that accurate. It looks that good. And the articulation is all really nice. Bandai always does a very good job on articulation. Not always, but almost always. So you can see some joints in there. So that would help you to identify that this is a figure and not an actual human being in a costume. But if you weren't paying attention, you weren't looking hard, you might be fooled. The helmet doesn't come off or anything. You can pull the head off, but the helmet doesn't come off. So here it is selling on Amazon. So it's selling for oh, don't do that. Selling for $69. So that is an inflated price, but these are not cheap. So that's not an amazingly inflated price, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are people who will pay for it. It's marked down from $80, so they inflate the price and then drop it. But this looks like it's being sold by Amazon itself, and not, well, no, it says Hobby Japan. So I'm not sure how they come up with a price and then say, oh, we're dropping the price. So I think that it's probably the most popular one, I would assume, the original one. I do have two from the newer movies that I'll be showing later. But I think people like the original ones. I would get a lot more. So, but Bandai has not produced a ton of them. Bandai produces, so here they are, and they have the Sith Troopers and Ray, I wanted to get a Boba Fett, but I missed my opportunity on that one. I didn't like the price, and then it sold out. So that was another figure that I lost my opportunity on. Here's the First Order Stormtrooper, and I do have one of those. Pretty much the only figures from SH Figuarts that I bought for Star Wars were the Stormtroopers, because I had kind of a soft spot for those figures. I think they look really nice. I'm not as excited about the human figures, and I'm not that into Star Wars. So this was kind of an emotional buy because I had collected the figures when I was a child, strictly to play with, and I had all sorts of stuff. I had the I had the Millennium Falcon, and I had the X-Wing, and all sorts of things. The Creature Cantina, tons of stuff, and probably sold them at garage sales for far less than you could get for them now. Those were the things that would have been worth something. But I really do like these figures. I do have a Boba Fett, but that's not by Bandai. So if Bandai came out with other versions of Stormtroopers, or another Boba Fett, or re-release of Boba Fett, I would pick that up, because I think that the costume figures look much nicer than the human figures, with all due respect, particularly since Han Solo looks quite elderly there, and so does Luke Skywalker. But I really like these figures, even though I'm not really a collector of them. There's just a few. But if you're a Star Wars fan, or if you're just a fan of figure collecting, these are very nice. I really don't have any complaints. And there certainly are a lot of companies that produce Star Wars figures. I don't think it's that hard to get a Star Wars license. So if you go on here and just filter based on Star Wars, they got Black Series, Vintage Collection, jumbo figures, all sorts of different figure lines. But I kind of like the this size. I'm not into the 1/6 scale Star Wars figures. So that's a Stormtrooper.